Do, 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 do. What you been up to today, bro?
Not much, but
Not much. Whole lot of nothing. Trying to convince people that a quarterback's division record matters to anything.
it's just an observation more than anything for the game upcoming this week.
I mean, I guess, but beyond that, it means nothing. We can all agree to that.
Y'all are the same ones that talk about how the game don't matter, and then talk about the game on said show the next day.
This is news. Clearly news. Clear news. What you're talking about means nothing beyond Sunday at all.
Well, who said it did?
You? You were acting like it did.
I never said anything. Y'all just immediately was like, "So." I was like, "Well, it kind of has relevance in what's coming this weekend."
Not really. You just said it's really.
So the only thing I don't like is that people are like
You never said
actively.
what relevance it had to this weekend. You just said that it was relevant. And it means something that it's insane that
It's
this
just
was
an insane stat. It's just an insane stat.
pointless stat, bro. It is a pointless stat in my book, but what is not pointless is this show. Welcome back. Glad everybody's here to join us. We are now live talking about sports here on the YouTube channel, talking about with Matt Garces. I am the Matt Garces in question here talking about sports. My good friend and yours, Justin. How you doing, man?
Doing good, man. How are you?
I'm all right. I'm all right. I started the show already. We've just been rambling and jotting stuff down. Trying to cross promote everything, bro. Trying to get these clips going. But let's talk about some things, man. It looks like your voice was heard this past Monday when we talked about it. Let me add that on there. You stated your case for Texas Tech being ranked number 5 in the college football playoffs. And that is exactly where they got to. The top 3 stayed the same, like we said and debated on. I know your feelings about Texas A&M, which this is kind of something I really wanted to talk about because there's certain teams in the lineup where it seems like they're holding value and good losses compared to certain head-to-head wins. But what are your thoughts on the college football playoff bracket as it is right now?
Very excited for Tech to be where they are. I don't really see. I don't see a scenario where they move up any more than that, except for one, and that would be. I haven't really looked at the schedule for everybody else, but I don't see them jumping anybody else unless A&M loses to Texas, which I think is a possibility. I think A&M. I thought personally, as you know, as you stated, should have gotten something done for that game against South Carolina. Um, but the committee said no.
Right.
They don't. I mean, I get it over a win. I get it, you won, but it's the way that you were being dominated. And then if they really are taking the schedules into account, then you have to kind of look at their schedule and the way that they almost choked that game. And I don't know. I thought they should have been hit, but that's nor here nor there. I
I
like.
It's like I was telling you, bro, they're not gonna fault you for having a close win, no matter the style that you won and how bad they had to come back from a deep deficit in the game that they were in. But my issue personally, and a lot of people's issue online too, is the ranking of Miami and Notre Dame. Because this is why I said the problem with ranking, giving more credit to a good loss compared to a head-to-head win. Miami beat Notre Dame this year, but yet Notre Dame's at 9 and Miami's at 11. So how does any of that make sense?
Yeah, that is interesting. I think because Miami had a second loss too, right? Who did Miami lose to? Who were Miami's losses to?
They lost to Louisville for sure. I don't remember who their second loss is. I can look that up right now. But and just
To,
in
I
terms
believe.
in terms
I
of this
think.
bracket, bro, like they beat Notre Dame head to head. So it's like why is it their win over Notre Dame held in higher regard in terms of ranking? And then the reason that they gave why Notre Dame is where they're at doesn't really make any sense. Is that's what I'm saying. It sounded like they're like, oh well, their loss compared to where they were. against Miami when they lost to Louisville, who's unranked, but yet the people like Louisville is still ranked compared to the teams that Notre Dame lost to who are ranked unranked.
So Notre Dame 2 losses came to who? Miami and who else?
I'm looking that up right now.
I think I heard someone say that their 2 losses were very close losses to 2 good teams. Whereas if Miami lost to Louisville, is Louisville still ranked? I thought they lost. Are they
Louisville,
ranked still?
Louisville is still ranked. Louisville is very much still ranked.
So I think it's the losses 'cause it really depends on who else Notre Dame lost to.
They lost to Miami and then they lost to Texas A&M. Those are their 2 losses.
Okay, so I think that's holding weight other than Miami's losses to Louisville, and who was Miami's other loss?
Looking over at Miami now. Getting it going
I
here.
mean, I really don't
Miami lost
trust.
to Louisville, as we stated before. Then they dropped a game to Iowa State, who is still ranked.
Yeah, so the committee must look at those 2. They must look at the losses as better value losses for Notre Dame.
But that doesn't make sense. Miami is one of their losses. That's a head-to-head matchup of these guys beat these guys. Why wouldn't you put Miami in front of Notre Dame? That's
I'm,
my
I guess because I think when they lost to Miami, Miami was what 2 in the country.
mhm.
So that's probably
Yeah,
where I
Miami
agree.
was, like, highly ranked. Miami was, like they were all the way at 2, and they fell all the way back. Like
Right, and I agree. I mean, believe me, I don't trust Miami or Notre Dame.
right.
So I kind of see that. I kind of want to touch on what you did. I think if you're looking at seating wise,
Mhm.
um, I kind of agree that Ole Miss seems to have that sweet spot to me. Like if I was looking at my Texas Tech team, that's kind of where I would prefer them to be
Right.
because Tech, as easy as that first round should be for Tech.
Yeah, you run into that wall that is the Georgia Bulldogs.
Well, and then to think about it, if the bracket was to end that way, you're probably going to have to go through Georgia and Ohio State.
Yeah, I mean, you got really hard chance because, like I said, that Tulane game's like when you're looking at both teams, Tulane probably the easiest team you could play on this whole bracket. But you look at an overall stance with the way you don't trust Miami. Texas A&M has been faltering and kind of waiting to slip on that banana peel at some point, which is why like they're expected at this point. I don't see like they're expected to win the SEC and still lose to Texas. That's where you think, okay, if you're Ole Miss, you kind of want to hang out where you are, take on Miami, take on A&M, and then hopefully you draw. I'm guessing you would want to draw Bama because you know what Bama's got, you know what to expect out of Bama, and they've dropped some games too. So you're thinking, okay, maybe you know, Bama goes into Indiana, takes them down, and you meet them in the semifinal.
Well, the good thing about it too is that we're going to see a lot of these teams because I think you're probably looking at an Ohio State and Indiana championship game for the Big Ten, and then you're
Right.
probably looking at, as it would stand now, I guess it would be Georgia and A&M.
Yeah, your projected SEC championship would be Georgia at A&M, unless some astronomical things happen to Georgia, and then like if A&M drops their last two, they would be out, and you would throw Bama in there.
So
But it's looking
that's an
highly
interesting
likely that
concept
A&M and
too.
Georgia are going to play the SEC championship game.
That's an interesting concept too. So say Ohio State and Indiana play in the Big Ten championship game. Does
Mhm.
the how far does the loser fall in the seeding?
I wouldn't think they drop very far because think about it, that would be both of their first losses, if anything. So it's not like
So
I
would
mean,
it,
they as a one loss team to in a conference championship game, I don't think they would fall very far back that way.
and then same for Georgia and A&M though. So say Georgia made it to the SEC championship and lost, well, that would put them at 2 losses, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
So how far would they get deep?
I mean, that's when you would think they might swap places with the Texas Tech and Tech would go to 4. I don't know. I don't think they would go back far, maybe 5, 6, because like I said, if the committee as it is right now are holding good losses in the way that they are, I wouldn't imagine that they drop very far because like I said, if you're not getting faulted for losing to a good team in a head-to-head matchup of all things. You're not gonna be faulted for losing a conference championship game.
Agreed. And then, you know, how much you also have to look is how much do you trust Oregon against that level of competition?
I mean, you can give them some good value. They're a very competitive bunch. They know they're well coached up out there in Oregon. They got a big game this weekend against USC, so you can kind of see because USC still has a good offense under Lincoln Riley. You can see what they have as long as they keep competitive. I mean, I can see them. I can see them competing against Bama if they pull Bama and play Bama. I can see them competing well against Bama. But if you like you were kind of leading to like if you were to ask me to pick, I would still think Bama would win that game.
I would actually right now is that if I look at it, I would favor Bama to kind of run through that bottom half of that bracket.
Really.
I think so personally, yeah, because Indiana, I don't know, there's things about them, and we'll learn a lot about them in the Big Ten championship game. But at least you can say Bama is kind of battle tested, which I think is going to go into account as these playoffs start going year by year. Um,
I mean,
which is why,
eventually they're going to expand these playoffs.
right? And I think those teams, you know, like if Texas made it, you know, you would have been able to say, well, at least you know, Texas would have been battle tested,
Mhm.
certainly battle tested. Whereas
Yeah.
like A&M, you know, A&M plays in the SEC and they don't even play Bama or Georgia this year. That's
Yeah, they're not going to run into nobody until they make that conference championship game.
which if you're an A&M person, cool. But if you live the rest of the country, you're kind of like,
I mean, you're gonna call that into question for anybody, bro. I mean, like they're calling it into question for Ohio State right now, and Ohio State's been dominating the schedule that they have. You play who you got at the end of the day. That's nothing you can really fault people for. Granted, it is, eventually it is gonna have to change. Some people, like you said, like eventually they're gonna look at, well, Texas plays everybody. Granted, Texas has dropped some games. They dropped the wrong games. Like had Texas only lost to Georgia, only lost to Ohio State, I guarantee they're probably in that back half of the 10 because right now, especially in this day and age, with the records being as close as they are and college football being as competitive as it is, you gotta want to be in that top 10. You don't want to just shoot for 12 because a slip up or somebody having a better win changes the entire field, and you don't know where you're going to end up. So you got to shoot for 10. But yeah, if Texas only loses to Georgia and Ohio State, Texas is still in this bracket as we speak. But that goes back to my thought to you last week, and not last this past Monday. Like I said about BYU, if you're BYU, don't you think you have an argument if you hypothetically only lose to Texas Tech? And if we're valuing good losses, is that not a good enough loss with the rest of your record only beating everybody? Would that not think like, hey, why am I not in here?
yeah, I agree with that. I
Because
just
it's
think
hard.
it's
Like I said, bro, it's hard because like Notre Dame got to 9 with high value losses, and Miami beat them head to head. How is that? How is that fair to a team like that that's only got the 2 losses?
it has to, like I said, the committee has to look at it as when you played a team, I'm guessing, because I agree with what you're saying, but I guess because Miami was number 2 at the time when they lost to Miami,
Mhm.
I'm guessing is what the committee sees there. Um, yeah, I mean, so it's just one of those things that I'm guessing that's what they see. A lot of people trust Notre Dame. A lot of people think they're sneaky. I'm not sure what to expect out of them. I think that OU Notre Dame game, if that held true, would be a pretty good game.
Oh yeah, no, that's a great matchup. That's one of the better matchups that are on there. To me, like, yeah, it's them and then the Alabama Oregon game because, like I said, they're going to be super competitive with everybody, and you'll never know where it's going to end up. But moving on from that, man, let's talk about what happened on Monday night. As you and I both expected a good performance, but I think you yourself felt like your Cowboys got a better performance taking on the Las Vegas Raiders. What are your takeaways from that game, and are you sipping the Kool-Aid as Troy Aikman tried to make everybody do Monday night?
Craven makes it hard, man, to not sip it, but I think it could be my gut feeling about the Cowboys is too little, too late.
Mhm.
I do feel like they are going to be much better. They're going to be much more competitive. Even though it was against the Raiders, and you do have to take that into account, I think just athletically, you see a difference on the defensive side of the ball.
Right, right.
I think Quentin Williams is going to help that. I think the defensive line definitely looked better. I saw a few flashes of Overshown running around, man, which was good to see. And if he stays healthy, I think that's a big deal. I just don't know if you can fix yourself into that wild card spot because you're so far behind.
Yep,
Because
yep.
I think you would need you not only would you would have to almost win out certainly.
I
And
mean,
if I'm
absolutely, but you're like you said, you're pretty far behind. You're at 4 wins. You're looking at the playoff picture ahead of you. There's I mean, the Lions are fighting for that last spot. So it's like, man, you gotta overcome them. You need to win Sunday because, like, what do you think about the takes that people have? Well, yes, they look good because they played the Raiders. What do you like? And obviously, the Raiders are not a good football team. As much as people love to admire the things that are around them, admire the defense and the Max Crosby that they have on defense, but like they are not a good football team. And what do you take it? How much real stock do you take into that defensive performance since it was against the Raiders? And Troy Aikman did say like did look better, but the real test comes these next 3 weeks.
I don't take any stock really in the Raiders game. Like I said, I just wanted to see those guys out there. Like I said, the only stock that I see is just not from a game perspective of necessarily what happened in that game, but more of what I see athletically on the field. Right. So it's like you said that you're not going to really know anything until Sunday. Sunday, if they go out and even if they do perform well on Sunday, man, as bad as it sucks to say, that
Mhm.
Philly offense hasn't been very great either. So even if
Right.
you put out a good defensive effort on Sunday, I think Philly has scored what 16 and 10 in their last 2 games.
Yeah, I mean, they've been playing up and down. They're still winning, but it's like, it's like the complaints that AJ Brown has been saying. You're only gonna get bailed out so many times. And they got bailed out again. Granted, they held the Lions to what was it, 6 points, less than 10. So it's hard to see it, but you guys are currently sitting in the 10th spot. So a win over the Eagles, along with a loss to the Lions and the Panthers, you would imagine that, like it's being said, that hope starts to bubble. Shout out to my man Mario in the chat. Ladies and gentlemen, do not forget to join our friends over at Infighting FX. I also go read on the articles at Fights Around the World, fightsatw.com, but mainly join our friends over at Infighting FX weekly, as I often go join that program for your latest wrestling boxing takes. Shout out to Mario in the chat. Shout out to all 5 of you viewers in the YouTube link. Make sure y'all like, comment, subscribe. Tell us we suck. Tell us we're good. It don't matter. We're here to engage with you guys. But Justin, like I said, you guys are sitting at the number 10 spot as it stands. If you win, which right now, if okay, so check this out. It has the probabilities here. With a win, your chances go up from 6% to make the playoffs to 11. But if you lose, you drop all the way to 3%. Like I said, you are sitting behind the Lions and the Panthers, who are 6-4, 6-5, respectively, and you guys are 4-5-1. What do you think of your chances saying you do beat the Eagles on Sunday? What do you feel about your chances on that? Because like I said at the beginning of this show, you shared the record that not only Dak Prescott has at home against the NFC East, but his performances against the Eagles specifically, we saw it at the beginning of this year in the first game. It just some things got away from you. Your chances against the Eagles, what are you really thinking about here, man?
So here's where I'm staying with the Cowboys at the moment. I think I favor them to win this Sunday. And I'm actually seeing a lot of big media heads think the same way that I am.
Mhm.
Just historically, Dak is hard to beat in Dallas, especially against the NFC East opponent.
Right.
So, and I don't think that I think Philly has been waiting, almost like you said, the slip of the banana peel. They've been escaping with low performances, and Dallas always plays them tough. So even if you beat Philly, I don't have many hopes on the playoffs. I'll say this: I won't have any playoff hopes unless you win your. If you win your next three, then I think I'll start getting a little bit of hope, and even then, I'll still be concerned. But then that's when I think playoff hope for this year. would creep in is if you beat Philly, you beat Kansas City, and you go on the road and beat Detroit. Then I
So,
think you're poised to
do you think
possibly make a run.
it more or less rests on this game Sunday, your playoff hopes, is what
I
you think?
agree because if you lose this one, man, then you're completely. I think that's you might as well put a fork in them. And I've already been on the. I've already been thinking about next year as a Cowboys fan.
Mhm.
Um, and this is kind of that last. This is your last ditch effort to even try to make it this year. And to do that, man, you're going to have to really win out, really. Um,
Absolutely.
and because you have people like San Francisco and Green Bay and Detroit who are all and then you have the other division with Seattle and Tampa and that whole division is good.
Yes.
So getting that wild card spot, man, you're kind of going to need to win out and almost hope for kind of a slump for a Green Bay, a Detroit, San Francisco.
Yeah.
You're probably looking at you could possibly see Seattle, San Francisco, and the Rams making it out of that division.
I mean, yeah, looking at the picture as it is right now that I have on the screen, it looks like it's gonna be dominated by the North and the West, which those are tough, tough matchups, man. Because like I said, if you let's hypothetically say you take Green Bay or San Francisco spot, you're gonna run into Chicago or you're gonna run into the Rams, and those are not easy games, especially Chicago. A lot of people need to start putting a little more respect on Chicago because they are hot and they have turned it around and have got the momentum they need to kind of make that push to the postseason, man. And like you said, like we were discussing earlier today, if the pieces do fit and it does work out, how much do you trust yourself in a playoff run?
It really depends on the way that the defense performed the rest of the way through. Because I think to make the playoffs, man, you're going to have to win out, which would put them at what 11 wins. I think
If you're looking at it from right here, yeah, you would be 11.
11-5-1.
Yeah, you'd be 11
Well,
5 and
obviously, if they
sneak in the back door.
did that, I would have a little more faith because that means that the defense is playing well, and I already think your offense is good enough to compete with anybody.
Right.
So if they did that, man, really right now, I don't see a world where that happens.
Right, and then,
Mm.
now we have you got people asking in the chat, as a Cowboys fan, should we hope for a loss to better our draft picks for an important upcoming draft? Like, you got Cowboys fans on both sides of the fence. It's like, man, we should just lose. And then there's, obviously the Cowboys fans like, well, I want to at least see my team succeed right now. I don't feel like waiting for next year. It's always been a maybe next year scenario in a fan base like this. What do you want, Justin? Do you want that run to the playoffs or at least some successful wins, or do you wanna say, "Hey, you know what? Let's just prepare for next year."
Well, I 100% always want to make the playoffs. But if there are Cowboy fans listening, I will tell you right now, you need to start looking toward next year. I think that's where we're headed. I don't see a scenario where we run the table. I just don't see it. I still think that there are holes in that defense, even with the additions you made. The main thing I would be looking for as a Cowboys fan is seeing how those additions do, how you play with Overshown and Quentin Williams with paired with Kenny Clark and the new corners that you got playing and stuff like that is the things that I would look forward to for next year. As a
Right.
Cowboys fan, personally, as much as I try to, I cannot just root for my team to lose on Sundays. I just can't do it, even though it's better for the team. I can't stand it. So I think you just want to see your defense be competitive.
I mean,
Middle of the pack.
absolutely, bro, you were right about that. And, it's like you said, I mean, look, we both been saying it is the Raiders. We don't take too much stock in that win over the Raiders, but you can look at that game and say, there is something there. That looked good for what it needed to look like, you know what I mean? You wanted them to look like that because, like, just the week just previous to the bye week, you had the same level of Cardinals team, and it did not look good. It did not look good at all. So it looks like those pieces that you added up in there, for sure, it looks like, okay, this worked. Let's see if it can keep working. Let's see if these guys, because it worked in a way like these guys are clicking together and they're playing as a unit. They're playing more as a unit. You saw those improvements. You saw it. Not for nothing. You've seen it against slightly against the Panthers. You saw it against the Commanders. Like I said, not the toughest teams in the world, but you see these pieces clicking together as a unit, and when they play like a unit, Cowboys look like a great team. The next 3 games obviously are tough, like we said. You got the Eagles Sunday, you play the Chiefs on Thanksgiving, so great way to ruin your holiday, dropping a game in the middle of the day. And then you got to follow up with the Lions and the Vikings, all very important seeding games for the Dallas Cowboys. Let's see how it goes for y'all, man. I'm hoping for the best as much as y'all like to think, you and my brother especially like to think I hate all the time. I don't. Let's hope for the best for y'all, man. And then, but in all honesty, I have a bet with my niece that I am not trying to lose. So let's at least let y'all get one less loss win than the Texans for sure. But speaking
Well,
of the Houston Texans, man, the Thursday night football is tonight. The Texans take on the Buffalo Bills in a what it is now being confirmed as of yesterday. Day before. CJ Stroud is out once again. Head coach D'Amico Ryans saying it's too short of a turnaround to get him ready for a Thursday night football game. The Buffalo Bills played probably the most exciting game of the weekend on Sunday against the Bucks in a back and forth affair. I believe like 6 touchdowns, almost 5 or 6 touchdowns in that game. What do you think about tonight's game, bro? I believe the line is set. Yeah, line is set at 6.5 for the Buffalo Bills. Josh Allen is undefeated on Thursday Night Football, but he is completely defeated 0-3 at NRG Stadium, where he's had 2 of his worst performances of his career. What are your thoughts on tonight's game, bro?
for tonight, I think thinking about this game earlier, Texans are going to have to play the way that we know their defense can play. They're going to have to be all time elite tonight, as good as they've been all season. They're going to need to be the best version of that defense. And Davis Mills is going to have to just not mess it up. Get drives together. You know, your defense is good enough where if they can get a couple touchdown drives and kick some field goals, you'll have a shot.
Mhm.
I think the key to the game for Houston, if I'm looking at it from a Houston perspective, is can I hold the Buffalo Bills under 21 points? I
I mean,
think if you can, I think if you can hold them to 20, you have a good shot to win.
I I get what you're saying with, let's hold them to 20. The Houston Texans defense, as you said, they've been playing out of their mind. But at the same time, the offense, and I've said this week after week, this offense is depressing, bro. This past Sunday, it was 0-3 against the Tennessee Titans. You're down 0-3. You had 2 red zone drives where you could not convert a single point. Once again, the Houston Texans just can't run the football. However, the Buffalo Bills offense have been solely dependent on the reigning MVP to play Superman, like I've been saying. They are down a few weapons today on that offensive side. And I do agree with the fact that the Houston Texans defense, you just got to make Josh Allen make mistakes. And when you get those mistakes, you get those turnovers, you got to score. You have to put up something because there's eventually at some point they're not going to be able to overcome the pressure that you can put on, especially with the lead. You can pin your ears back and start sending Will Anderson, start sending Daniil Hunter. Man, I wish Petrie was in the game because we've been sending Petrie on blitz packages every week, and he's been our leading tackler right next to Hunter. To me, the Houston Texans, they got to hold that Buffalo Bills offense to at under 20. You got to keep them boys around 12 and then hope you can at least score 2 touchdowns. It's all in the hands of Davis Mills' performance to me. And Davis Mills, like I've said before, like I understand, he's probably one of the better backups in this league. A lot of teams called for him in the offseason. I see why, because the drive against Jacksonville gives you all the hope in the world that he can come back and lead a team to a win, but he's not somebody that's gonna hold it for long. As a Houston Texans fan, as well as we've kept ourselves alive and turned things around towards this midpoint of the season, I do want to see them succeed. I would love a playoff appearance. I just go back to the thought of if we do make the playoffs, who do we beat? I've warmed up to the idea of more because the Houston Texans have not been blown out this season at all. Even their most embarrassing loss to the Seattle Seahawks is you look at the breakdown. Had they been able to generate some sort of offense, they more than likely win that game. They had Sam Darnold throw 3, 4 interceptions that game, along with 2 fumbles. The Houston Texans defense is gonna keep us in this game, but at the same time, can Davis Mills, can Nico Collins, can Woody Marks, because the Buffalo Bills run defense is absolutely atrocious. Can you get some form of a running game going where you can get Davis Mills into some play action, into some motion, and get that ball not only to Nico Collins, but to your both your young boys out of Iowa State, who have, especially Higgins. Higgins to me, he's been stepping his game up. He's been making spectacular catches along with Nico. Can you make it into the game? Can you make it a game? Can you make it another win on Thursday Night Football Battle Red Night? Like I said, Josh Allen is 8-0 on Thursday Night Football, but he is 0-3 throughout his career at the NRG Stadium. And like I said earlier today, man, I'm still riding with the Texans. I feel like they can do that. I feel like it can be done. I feel like they will pull this win out. And I just got hope, man. I got hope. I got a lot of hope. I got a lot of prayers. Hopefully those hopes and prayers are answered tonight. Like I said, the spread is at 6.5. I feel like that's a fair spread in favor of the Bills because you look at everything that's been done. The Buffalo Bills are a better team. They got the reigning MVP. Let's see how it goes, man. And leading into some comments here. This is something that was brought up earlier today. What is your thoughts looking at Hard Knocks? The in-season Hard Knocks is obviously covering the NFC East this year. You expect to see some good things. The young upstarts that were going on in New York. I don't know when the footage started recording. Obviously, the Dallas Cowboys went through that, horrible tragedy with Nealon losing one of their own. Philadelphia Eagles drama. That's going to be interesting to me. The drama that Philly is continuing to go through. It's amazing how much drama they go through, even though they're the number one seed in the NFC. But yet there's constant infighting every week after winning games, man. What do you expect from this in-season Hard Knocks?
Oh man, it depends on how they did and how long they've been recording. And I would imagine they've been recording all season, wouldn't you think so?
I
I
would imagine
think
they picked it up from like mid-season somewhere, maybe like
if
3.
they've been recording for a while, man, it has a chance to be pretty incredible. Actually, alluding to everything that you just spoke of, the Cowboys obviously will be, the kneeling thing will probably be a big thing, and I imagine episode 1 will probably pay a lot of tribute to that.
Yeah.
Um, the like you said too, the New York will be interesting because you're going to have the young, the Jackson Dart, the Cam Scatterboo with the injury, and now the coach firing. That's going to be interesting to see how they did all of that.
Oh yeah.
Um, and then the constant drama in Philly. The constant drama in Philly is going to be. I'm interested to see how they do that, man. That's going to be pretty good.
I think so too, man, especially because, the teams in question, there's so many headlines around them. Obviously, there's the tragedy with Nealon, but then if they started from the first few weeks of the season, bro, that Micah Parsons conversation is gonna be starting it. You get into that Philly drama, and like you said, the Giants fired their head coach. They have played 3 quarterbacks to this point. I'm gonna love the Jameis Winston content because that man just has a scene or some really great phrases to see and say. The NFC
And we're,
East,
and we're still missing Washington. I mean, but there's just not a whole lot.
there's not a whole lot going on, man.
There's not.
They just been in some bad spots, and then remember it as the similar to last year. If you guys don't know, they start off in the middle of the season, they follow everybody, and then they start dropping teams once the playoffs come. So like once I think they had the Ravens and the Steelers, and they followed the Ravens and the Steelers all the way through their playoff runs till they ended. So it's gonna be fun to see, especially like we were just saying, if the infighting continues in Philly and Dallas somehow goes on a run, that's gonna be must-watch TV to see how both sides react to what's going on inside of their building, man. And
Well, I think it'd take a lot. We all know, and I'm not saying this just because I'm a Cowboys fan. It's gonna take a lot for them to drop the Cowboys out of the show. I mean, we just know that to be fact. They're gonna. I mean, but especially now because, like you said, Dallas is in second place. They're still quite a bit behind, but with all that drama going on in Philly, man, and they're reigning Super Bowl champs, and there's reports coming out now, I guess, that people aren't really a fan of Jalen Hurts in the locker room and stuff. I've heard some stuff like that coming out this week, so which is crazy. Um, I've never seen a team that wins as much as they do have as much drama as they do. Where's the old saying, man, that winning cures all?
I mean, yeah, you're right, bro. I mean, but this was the situation for them last year. You gotta remember they were hollering for the coach to get fired, bro, and he just won the NFC Championship game. So it's like, what more do you want from me?
I mean, let me ask you something. If you're a Philadelphia fan, how do you, I mean, are you a
If I'm
fan that says shut up AJ Brown, or
if
are
I'm a
you?
Philadelphia fan, I will not care what anybody is saying if you win the Super Bowl again. That's for sure. I
I'm
do not.
saying about, but I'm saying like right here, right now. Are you like thinking about AJ Brown? Are you like,
Oh,
man?
bro. Yeah, right here, right now, if I'm a Philly fan, I'm like, man, here we are again with this shit. It's something. And then like you gotta look like, okay, AJ Brown, they fed you 12 balls on Sunday night and you only caught 5, put up the yards you put up. They gave you your opportunity. We gave you the balls you asked for. We still won the game. Yet here we are complaining. The point of me is to maintain and keep that lead. Defense is doing its job, brother. I don't know what you want. What else you
I
want me to
mean, the
say?
defense is winning. I mean, their defense is much better than I thought they would be, man. I mean, that's why they're winning games. What are they sitting at now? 8-2
Mhm.
with the offense that looks like one of the worst in the NFL, even though it has
It's
all them
counter
stars on it. And you know,
in the league, though.
yeah, I mean, it's a bad offense, and they have stars everywhere. And now it'd be interesting to see too is how Lane Johnson's gone, man, for what 4 to 6 weeks now, and I think I saw something where.
I would imagine he's out the rest of the season, bro, with his injuries. That's the second injury he's had this year.
And I saw a stat line today that said Jalen Hurts is 5-12 without Landon Johnson. So
And,
that's
and, and Mario, I get that, but like how mad can he be? You're complaining and bitching about getting only a handful of throws, and I throw you 12 balls. You didn't even put up 100 fucking yards. That's on you, buddy. And we
yeah,
still
and then
we went to
they're trying
complain.
to
We
force it.
still won the game. And here's
Yeah,
the thing, Justin, real quick. I understand it's super inconsistent, but the past 3 years for sure, when they've needed Jalen Hurts to stand up and win the game and play out of his mind, he has. You
they
can't say
played
he
well in
hasn't.
big games.
So, like, it's really comes down to, like, like, arguably, is AJ Brown even the number 1 receiver on that team? Wouldn't you be throwing it to Devontae if you had to pick between throwing the 2?
Well, I hear a lot of people say that Devontae Smith is probably the number one.
Yeah.
Um, and what a distraction that is. And didn't he come out with like a comment after the Super Bowl saying that something about like, well, it didn't feel the way he thought it was, that he prefers to like dominate people and like
Wanna
stuff like
be the
that.
star of the game, bro. That's the problem. It's too many people that want to be the star. I wanna be the big thing, and it's too many big-headed people in that
And
organization that it's either they want the credit, they want the value, they want the most opportunity. It's like, bro, at the end of the day,
some of that stemmed from like as much credit as Saquon got for last season. I mean,
well, I mean, like, yeah, he got a lot of credit for last season, but we all saw the Super Bowl, bro. Jalen Hurts won that game.
oh, he was great.
He played phenomenal.
And then and then you would think, because you knew coming into this season that when somebody's going to play Philly, you're the reigning Super Bowl champ. So you're going to get their best shot, one. And for two, you're going to have to beat them throwing the ball because we're not going to let you run the ball this year.
Mhm.
And it's actually been their defense that is winning them games right now. I mean, who wins a game in the NFL today scoring 10 points?
Eh, hey, man, at the end of the day, it's not gonna matter when the record books are written, it's not gonna matter what that scoreboard says. It's gonna look at wins and losses at the end of that day, bro. And it's
No,
like
and
I
you have to give them credit, dude.
yeah,
I mean, even as a Cowboys fan, they're 8-2, all that drama, a bad offense, and yet they keep winning.
well, and it's no different like how we're seeing with the Denver Broncos right now, bro. They're literally winning all their games in the 4th quarter. Look at all their come from behind, coming from the back end of being down 1, 2 scores, and they come roaring in that 4th quarter and win that game. And it's the same thing. That offense kinda stagnates and starts off really slow and inconsistent, but their defense is phenomenal out there, bro. So
I
is it
think
is
another thing
it
for
better?
Philly,
Is it
though,
going back to the main point of what people used to echo, defense is winning championships these days. You gotta look at each time recently that the Chiefs got defeated, bro. It was the master class on defense taking them down.
Well, another thing with Philly though is I think that kind of looms for them is that I think people still kind of even after the Super Bowl they still kind of remember the 2023 season
Mhm.
where they were 10-2 and absolutely just crumbled. I think they lost what 6 out of their last 7 in a first round exit,
Yeah,
and
they
I think people are sitting here right now waiting on that banana peel.
I mean,
You
but
know,
that's
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 a lot
hard
of people.
because, like, you look at the defense they have right now, much better than that defense they had in that year, bro. There's that defense will not let you down. Look at what they did to just the Lions. They held the Lions. They kept them out of the end zone for most of the game, bro. So it's hard for me to look at Philly and think less of them because you know you you got. I mean, it's not the first time a star receiver on Philly was beefing with the quarterback, bro. We were here with T.O. and McNabb, but these guys have actually won a Super Bowl. That's what I don't understand.
Well, I really didn't think that Philly was going to escape Green Bay and Detroit the way that they did, so that was impressive. And I
Mhm.
think a lot of reasons why they're being picked to lose by so many people, and not everybody, but a lot of people, is just because it is Dallas,
Yeah.
and it's just historically it's hard to go into Dallas as the NFC East opponent and win. Um, and so I think that's more of it. I don't think it's as much of a Philly thing as it is people just think that Dallas is going to give them a tough game. And I could see that too because I could see Dallas beating them and then them go rattle off 5 more wins
Yeah,
because the
but
defense, like you said, is playing. That defensive line is for real, man.
yeah. I mean, it's like last year we were saying the same things last year that at some point they're gonna implode and it's gonna fall apart. But yet here we are again in 2025, same scenario. They're not winning as big and as impressively, but they're still winning games out there.
What'd
And
be interesting to see is if Dallas beats them, is
mhm.
if there's an overreaction.
Oh, there's going to be. There's going to be an overreaction.
Not only from everybody out here, but them themselves.
Yeah.
Will,
It
will it be that tipping point of, oh, AJ, say their offense struggles and Dallas beats them? Is that going to be AJ Brown saying, I told you so, and stuff like that? And then the media's going to, run away with that anyway.
absolutely, bro. They're waiting. Especially in that division, they're waiting on people to make mistakes constantly. They're looking, because and then at that you automatically know, especially with the media storm that would take over Philly, especially with now Hard Knocks showing you what's going on behind the scenes. That infighting is just going to get a lot worse, especially like let's say they lose that game to Dallas 13-3. You don't think AJ Brown is going to start running his mouth immediately after the game saying, "See, I told you they held them under 20 and we still couldn't get in the end zone. We still couldn't produce any offense."
Well, yeah, because, and also, all that stuff's going to get blown up. I mean, think about it. It's kind of an
I don't
insane
I
game.
don't see the team being blown up. I legit going
No,
into
I'm
next
talking
year,
about in
I
the
see
media being blown up.
oh, yeah, the media blowing it out of proportion for sure.
Just because if you think about it like in this point of view, because you're already the Super Bowl champs, so the Eagles are already going to get more. They're already getting more media coverage than they normally would this year. So that's one thing.
Mhm.
2, yes, the Hard Knocks is now there too. 3, you're playing the Cowboys, and Cowboys are already on the media as it is.
Oh,
So
you're gonna
that's
have
3.
eyeballs everywhere in that game.
That's 3 big reasons why. I mean, you're going to be the talk of the week, man. You're not going to be able to escape it until maybe Thanksgiving when the games happen on Thanksgiving.
Yep, yep, you're not gonna escape it till that Thursday when there's 3 games on all day. People are just gonna be focusing on, but even into the buildup of those games, they're gonna be talking about what happened, man. I mean, hey, we're gonna have to wait. We're gonna have to see. We're gonna have to see, man. Because like I said, I can see why people are picking Dallas. I can see why people are running with Philly. I can see why you have concerns on both sides. It's a lot of for as success, especially for as successful as Philly has been in winning games. This game on Sunday between the Cowboys and the Eagles are going to answer a lot of questions that we have with both of these teams. But let me run back to Dallas real quick. One of the most eye-catching things I have ever seen a coach do is what your head coach, Mr. Schottenheimer, did on Monday night to start that game in the first series, sitting out both star receivers, man. It was a mixed reaction from you. Looking back at it now on Thursday, what do you think of that move, the way he sat out CD and Pickens for that first series to essentially to what being reported send a message to them. What do you think about it now, man?
Well, main thing I think, the main thing that comes to my thought is I've been thinking about this all week. Is it's lucky that they won because had they lost that game,
Oh,
my goodness, and
Collins
had George Pickens and CeeDee Lamb not played well, oh my goodness, man, I couldn't imagine. I wasn't a fan of it, but I did see them respond to it, and I saw them hugging and high fiving and stuff like that. So maybe he's in tune with them too, that they respect him enough to be able to do something like that. As a fan, you hate to see it because it's like we discussed all week. Those are two grown men playing in NFL football. Your two highest. Some would argue right now two of the top five receivers in the NFL.
and one of the most highest paid receivers in the NFL at that.
No,
Like,
and now people are talking about George Pickens possibly as the top five guy.
right.
Just not just another number one with CD. I mean, he went absolutely crazy and he's had a great season.
Yes,
So
absolutely.
I do think that there's a better way to handle it, but I was happy to see that it looked like CD and George responded well to it.
Absolutely, man. I agree with you. Just looking at it right now. At the time, I didn't agree with it at the time because, like, I'm looking like, why the hell would you not have them on the like? I don't care. This isn't college football. This isn't high school. We're not taking a bus home. Bro, this is the NFL. This is the pros. Let's just slap them with a fucking fine and let Jerry handle it. I need these guys in this game. You are coming off a long, long stewing of losing that game to Arizona in the fashion that you did. I don't understand the move, and like, it's been reported that Shoddy has been real big on discipline for the Dallas Cowboys, like we saw in the offseason getting ready for this season. He's making the guys run when they're not paying attention in practice. We're doing dead sprints. We're handing out fines. We're taking people out of games. But man, like, you're both your top targets. For one, why weren't they in control to begin with going into this game? Why not? Like, why are we all not locked in? The fact that we have to re-lock everybody in was concerning to me. But just the biggest, like you said, nobody's gonna agree with it had the Cowboys lost that game. If they lost that game and CD and Pickens never get into a rhythm, or Dak just can't find them and his only option is Ferguson and Turpin, man, that would have been a long, long night. Shout out again to my boy Mario. He's giving his takes that, while yes, that Smith works better with their schemes, he believes AJ Brown is the more athletic guy. Mario, I'm gonna tell you right now, we're not gonna talk about fantasy football because it's late in the season. If you're 4-7 in both your leagues, bro, just give up. I don't know what to tell you. You gotta be. I doubt that. Trade your best players and hope for again for next year, buddy. Unless you're doing payouts for high scoring, then keep trying your best. But if you're 4-7 and it's week 12, you probably only got like 3 weeks anyway, bro. Just give it up.
I mean, you essentially
wow,
are the Cowboys.
wow, indeed, give it up. But unlike that, this was been an impressive another hour, Justin. I want to thank you again for joining me. Another great segment. We will come back. I want to say let's come back Sunday, Monday. We can for sure say Monday. We'll digest the weekend. We'll take all the information in. We'll see how college football shakes out. We'll see how this game goes with the Texans, and we'll see how everything goes on Sunday. Going to see, like I said, a lot of good games, some good matchups this week.
Real quick before you head out, give us a score prediction for your game tonight.
Oh man, if I was to give a score prediction for the game, the Houston Texans are going to win 18-12. Kicking a
18-12.
kicking a lot of field goals tonight, baby. Kicking a lot of field goals.
All right, I'm going on record taking Buffalo 23-17.
Absolutely. And once again, guys, this has been Talking About Sports here on the YouTube channel, Talking About with Matt Garces. Don't forget, I will go live once again. I'm hoping for Saturday because, life is life and people don't want me to enjoy my life. But we're going to get it on, talk about everything. We have a big ring card coming up this weekend, Ring 4, live on the Zone pay-per-view. If you don't want to buy it, let me know. But beyond that, man, there's going to be some great fights. David Benavidez taking on Anthony Yard, Devin Haney and Brian Norman Jr. coming together in a 147-pound clash and the return of Bam Rodriguez and Abdullah Mason. Don't forget my boy Vito Milanecki, Jersey stand up. Don't forget about that, man. He's a great talent. Don't forget to join me. I am planning to go live for sure tomorrow night talking about wrestling. Hopefully, we will talk about wrestling with our friends over at Infighting FX. Shout out to my man Mario once again. That has been the show. Round of applause for you, Justin, for hanging in there and giving your thoughts. Thanks for joining us, guys. We'll see you next time.